Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about game length. In particular, I want to answer a question from Bonebard6178, who asked, "It feels like a lot of people put value on long games with a lot of content, while I avoid almost anything these days longer than 10 hours. Curious how you feel about the benefits and drawbacks of long and short games." That's a very good question. I know I haven't talked about this. I know, but various videos of mine I may mention trying to reach a certain number of hours, because it's something that used to be more frequently asked for, and I'll talk about that. The way I thought I'd structure this, instead of talking about pros and cons of short and long games, I'm just going to talk about all the pros of a short game and then all the pros of a long game, and then kind of reach a conclusion on what maybe you should do on your own game. So let's start with short games. Short games are pretty much in the idea that people want to explore it and resolve it quickly. What this means is the design of your game means you have to give them very fast feedback. They're doing things. Are they doing it well? Are they doing it wrong? Did they make the right choice? Did they do the right thing? Did they win? And those kind of games have, because of their short duration, have to have very obvious and specific goals. These are for gamers who like, I think it's called one and done. They want to play the game, they did the game, they experienced the game, and now they're done. These games are great in the sense that those are the type of gamers who want to get on to the next big thing. So they played this game, maybe they played it for a few days, maybe they even played it for a whole week, and now they're on to the next big thing. There's a lot of gamers who like that, and that's great. These games do have replayability, but it tends to be rapid cycle replayability, where player choice really matters. And in addition, like as opposed to randomness, but there's also a lot of randomness in the game, because you want the game to feel different every time you play, but you also need the player to feel like their choices are influencing the game in the sense of usually it's skill. In a shorter game, it's usually, oh, my skill has gotten really good, I'm getting really much better at this game. Short games benefit from dynamic content so that you can replay it, over and over and over, and you're doing it very quickly, so you notice if the same content is being served to you every time. So you want different levels, different arrangements, different kinds of enemies. You want different plot points, different character abilities. Think about games where it may take you 15 minutes to play through. You want that playthrough to be exciting and be fast-paced, but also give you a lot of choices that you immediately see consequences to. Dynamic content for a short game is also really important because it lets unexpected things happen. Not the player did something and it didn't work the way they thought, but more like, oh, here's a level configuration I've never seen before. Here's a environment I've never seen before, or oh, I got this new ability I've never taken before. Oh, look what it lets me do. That kind of thing. And players will rapidly churn through all those things, and they like to see all that unexpected stuff. But then when they're done, when they've seen all the different things and they've played a bunch of different ways, they can kind of declare these shorter games done, and they move on. You frequently say, you hear people say about these games, they respected my time, which is not something I heard 20 years ago, but something I hear a lot these days. So let's contrast this with long games, which I will admit most of my games have been long games. Long games are games there's a ton of things to see, a ton of things to do, a lot of choices to make, but many of these things are slower in pace, and there's a lot of the change occurs over a long term. That's why many of my games, you make a choice and you don't even see anything about it until the end slide. Longer games are ones where players want to make a character, and they want that character to grow and change over time. And by time, we mean tens of hours. For some games, hundreds of hours. So the game has to be designed with that rich, slow growth in mind. Many gamers talk about long form games being long length games being comfort games, games that they just like logging in and living in it. These games are great because these gamers get not only that sense of comfort, but the value of the game is very high. And by value, I mean the amount of time you get out of it for the amount of money you spent. So if you buy a $60 RPG and you get 100 hours of playthrough, well, at the most objective level, that's more value than a $10 game that you play for $10. A $10 game that you play for 10 hours. You just got more time for your dollar. And of course, there are online games where you pay $10 or $15 a month, but you play it for years. And you may play in any given month, you may play tens of hours, which probably is a lot more value than a lot of other entertainment mediums like going to the movies. Maybe not up there with streaming, but streaming is getting more expensive. But that's what long form games are going for, that kind of value, and people arrive in your game to kind of live in it. There is replayability in long form games, but it's for gamers who are very patient and they want to see how all their choices add up. So you may make a character and you don't see any immediate change in how they play, but as you buy different skills and different perks, these add up to a significant change. You also get slides at the end that go, wow, look at all the long term results of your choices and what they were. Players who like long games like seeing that kind of thing. Now, dynamic content works in long form as well, in not only in the form of like dynamic quest content, but also in terms of respawning, just so players can stay with one character and keep experiencing new stuff and see how their new changed character results to interacts with some of the stuff they've seen before. So you kind of see that even though long and short games can benefit from some of the same features, they benefit in a different way. So let's talk about what you may want to do if you're trying to decide, I'm working on a game, how long should it be? I'll tell you that long games, literally expressed in terms of how many hours a player is going to spend with them, that used to be a marketing point for publishers, and it used to be one of the very first things you were asked. If you were presenting a game, I swear, as soon as I was finished presenting it, the first question out of someone's mouth would be, how many hours do you think this game will be? I mean, that was literally the very first thing. That's not true anymore. It's also true that when people reviewed games or talked about playing games online, the first thing they would do was talk about how many hours they put into it. It was like a badge of honor. I have 200 hours in this game. Now that's changed. And like I said, people say more about this game respected my time. I'm hearing more and more that people like shorter games because either they want to play a lot of different games or they have other things in their life that demands time from them. Maybe they have a job or are in school or they have a family and they want to devote time to that. So they like and even appreciate games that are like, you can play this for 5 hours, you can play this for 10 hours, and then you're done. You can experience everything we have to give you in a few hours. But still, there are people who want that long-term comfort game. Like any feature I've talked about on this channel, there is no right choice here. There are individuals who prefer one over the other very strongly, and they will tell you that. But there is no like majority consensus on whether short or long games are, the best thing to make. Some people prefer short games. Some people prefer long games. What I would recommend for you is that you look at the features of your game and your design goals, which I know you made, because before you ever started making a game, you wrote down your design goals, right? So the design goals in your feature set should help you decide what kind of game you're making and whether there is a game length you should target. Whether you're making a short game with rapid cycle playing and you can be done quickly and after a few weeks you're done, or whether you want one of those long comfort games with long, slow growth for your player's character. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Bonebard6178.